Born with nothing means you have everything to gain. While others rely on natural talent, you carve your path through sheer will and ruthless determination. Disadvantages become your weapons. Odds become irrelevant. The world doesn't hand out victories. You seize them through relentless preparation and perfect execution. When they underestimate you, make them pay for their arrogance. Your legacy isn't written in blood, but carved through mountains.
The path to greatness isn't paved with comfort. When others sleep, you hunt. When they celebrate small wins, you're already chasing the next summit. Complacency is death for the truly ambitious. Let your hunger grow with each achievement, never satisfied, always evolving. Your potential has no ceiling. Refuse to let anyone, including yourself, place one there.
Discipline is freedom. Train until your weaknesses become weapons. Let the fire in your muscles remind you that transformation demands sacrifice. Pain isn't your enemy. It's the doorway to your evolution. When your body screams to stop, that's precisely when you must push harder. Remember, legends aren't born in comfort zones. They're forged in the crucible of voluntary suffering.
Your mind is your greatest weapon. Sharpen it daily. While others act on impulse, you move with purpose. Every challenge is a puzzle to solve. Every obstacle a chance to innovate. Stay 10 steps ahead, anticipate resistance, and strike with precision when others hesitate. Strategic patience followed by decisive action. This is how you dominate your domain.
Fear is for the weak. Doubt is for the mediocre. You stand apart because you refuse to be controlled by either. Own every room you enter with the unwavering certainty that you belong at the top. Your presence should command respect without a single word spoken. Never apologize for your ambition or your power. They are your birthright.
When everything breaks down, your will remains. Let failure fuel you, not finish you. The depth of your resilience reveals the height of your potential. Others quit when the path gets difficult. You see difficulty as proof you're heading in the right direction. Turn your scars into armor, your setbacks into comebacks. This unbreakable spirit is what separates the extraordinary from the forgotten.
Listen up. You're not here to be mediocre. You weren't born weak. Weakness is a choice. When comfort calls, you tear down every excuse. Forget about luck. It's all on you. When the urge to quit hits, you don't back down. You face it head on. Because if you let weakness rule, you'll never see how far you can truly go.
Every second you waste hesitating is a moment lost in your evolution. You either level up or get left behind. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Force it. Let that burning hunger drive you forward, even when the odds are stacked against you. Your relentless pursuit is the only way to eclipse your limitations.
Your body is a battleground where pain is not an enemy but a teacher. Each bruise and every drop of sweat proves you're pushing past your limits. When your muscles scream and your mind begs for rest, that's your cue to get tougher. Embrace the struggle. It's where real strength is forged.
Focus on progress, not perfection. Every setback is data, a chance to refine your approach. You're building your future with every deliberate choice, every small victory that chips away at mediocrity. Analyze your failures, learn from them, and let each calculated move push you further than you ever thought possible.
Power isn't given, it's taken. Dominate every moment with ruthless resolve. Crush doubts and exude an unyielding confidence that leaves no room for weakness. In this brutal game, you either command the field or get trampled by those who do. Assert your superiority. Refuse to compromise.
And when the world tells you to stop, when every part of you craves rest, get up and fight harder. Every fall is just a lesson in resilience. No matter how many times you're pushed to your limit, Rise again with a fierceness that defies defeat. Your determination is the key. Keep pushing until you break through every barrier.
In a world of rules, be the exception. Conventional wisdom is for conventional results. What others call impossible is merely untested territory, waiting for someone bold enough to claim it. Your disadvantages become advantages when leveraged correctly. Preparation meets opportunity in the arena of execution. Strike with such precision that your name becomes synonymous with excellence. Leave no room for chance.
Evolve or perish. The difference between hunters and prey isn't strength. It's mindset. When everyone retreats, you advance. When they rest, you rise. Make your presence felt through consistent, ruthless action. The world belongs to those willing to take it. Your resolve must be unbreakable. Your focus laser sharp. Remember, the shadows you cast today will define your legacy tomorrow.
Your body is the ultimate weapon. Forge it accordingly. Beyond blood and bone lies untapped potential waiting to be unleashed. Break yourself 1,000 times to rebuild stronger. The line between possible and impossible blurs when you push past conventional limits. Pain is temporary. The glory of conquering yourself is eternal. Train until your idols become your rivals.
In the chess game of life, anticipate 5 moves ahead. Harness failure as data, not defeat. The most dangerous opponent isn't across from you. It's the voice inside that says, enough. Silence it with calculated persistence. Every setback recalibrates your approach. While others hope for luck, you create systems that guarantee success. This is how you transform potential into undeniable results.
Embrace the chaos that others fear. When the world crumbles, you stand unmoved. Power isn't just physical. It's psychological dominance that bends reality to your will. Make decisions with such conviction that doubt cannot survive in your presence. Your existence alone should challenge mediocrity. Remember, true dominance isn't taking control. It's becoming the force that cannot be controlled.
The difference between champions and challengers. Champions rise when everything says stay down. Your capacity for suffering determines your capacity for greatness. Let pain be your compass. It points toward growth. When your body surrenders, your mind must command it forward. This relentless spirit becomes your signature, your weapon, your legacy. Never let them see you break.
If you can't control your own brain, and your brain controls you, it's over. You gotta tell your brain where you wanna go, and how you wanna go, and how you wanna get there. You gotta control it. If not, it's over. Your mind is constantly feeding you suggestions. Scroll social media. Take the easy path. Avoid that difficult conversation. Postpone that important task. And most people just follow these suggestions without question, like servants to their own random thoughts. But I learned something as a Saiyan prince. Your brain works for you, not the other way around. When my mind told me I wasn't strong enough to surpass Kakarot, I rejected that thought and trained harder. When it suggested I should accept my limitations, I chose to shatter them instead.
Look, when I first stepped onto that field at Blue Lock, I was surrounded by players who had every advantage I didn't. Better technique, faster speed, stronger shots, but I realized something. They also had something holding them back that I didn't. Ego that made them selfish. Comfort that made them lazy. Assumptions about their own abilities that made them stop pushing. What's holding you back isn't always what you lack. Sometimes it's what you have too much of.
Too much comfort in your current situation. Too much attachment to how things used to work. Too much fear of looking foolish while you learn something new. I had to eliminate my need to play it safe, my desire to blend in with the team, my fear of standing out.
Most people's limitations are self-imposed. They create elaborate justifications for why they can't achieve their goals. But these justifications are simply mental constructs designed to protect them from the discomfort of effort. I've observed this pattern repeatedly. Individuals who possess the intellectual and physical capacity to succeed, yet systematically sabotage their own progress through self-defeating behaviors. They claim external circumstances prevent their advancement, but analysis reveals that their own choices are the primary obstacle. The elimination process requires clinical objectivity about your own behavior patterns. Which activities consume time without producing value? Which thoughts consistently lead to inaction? Which relationships drain energy without reciprocal benefit? This isn't about being heartless. It's about being strategic.
You know what's holding you back? Your attachment to being comfortable. Your need for everyone to approve of your choices. Your fear of looking stupid while you figure things out. I used to think I needed to be perfect at everything immediately. That needing help was weakness. That showing effort meant I wasn't naturally gifted enough. But all of that garbage was keeping me from actually getting stronger. Sometimes you have to let go of the version of yourself that needs to look like they have it all figured out. The version that can't admit when they're wrong. The version that won't ask questions because it might reveal what they don't know. Like Tyler Durden said, it's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. When you stop protecting your ego, when you stop clinging to the fake image of yourself, that's when you start truly building your skills. That's when growth finally becomes real.
You know what separates the strongest from everyone else? They eliminated their need for external validation before they started pursuing their goals. Most people are carrying around invisible chains. What their family thinks, what society expects, what their friends might say if they fail. These aren't real obstacles, but they feel real enough to stop most people from even trying. I realized early that being the strongest meant being willing to stand alone when necessary. Not because I didn't value relationships, but because I couldn't let other people's limitations become my limitations. When you're truly focused on becoming exceptional, you have to cut away everything that keeps you ordinary, including the opinions of ordinary people about what you should or shouldn't attempt.
The difference between a warrior and a pretender? It's simple. A warrior cuts out what's killing him. A pretender cuddles it, feeds it, calls it part of who I am. You already know what's bleeding you dry. The endless scrolling, the fake smiles, the late nights that buy you nothing. But instead of killing it, you justify it. You dress it up as comfort, or just how life is. Here's the truth. Comfort is poison. Weakness doesn't leave on its own. You have to strangle it, rip it out, burn it down. I had to face it too. Pride kept me ignorant. Anger kept me predictable. So I killed them before they killed me. The question isn't what's wrong with your life. You already know that. The real question is, what weakness are you still negotiating with, instead of eliminating?
You want to know what I had to kill off to change everything? My need to be liked. My fear of missing the shot, that reflex to pass when I should have been ruthless. I realized something ugly. Being nice on the field wasn't noble. It was cowardice. I wasn't protecting the team. I was protecting myself from looking bad, from being blamed, from failing in front of everyone. And the second I stopped caring about that, everything shifted. Here's the thing. Sometimes what's destroying you isn't some obvious vice. It's the traits you're proud of. Pushed too far. Considerate becomes people-pleasing. Careful becomes paralysis. Humble becomes self-sabotage. If you want to rise, you can't just cut weaknesses. You have to audit your strengths. Ask yourself, are they actually making you stronger, or just keeping you comfortable?
The mistake most people make is believing change comes from an emotional purge. They try to flip their entire life overnight, and then wonder why they collapse under the weight of their own decisions. That's not how efficiency works. Elimination is not about passion. It's about calculation. Identify the single behavior that interferes most with your objectives. Measure how much time, energy, and attention it drains against the value it provides. If the result is negative, it doesn't belong in your system. Take something as small as checking your phone 17 times a day. That's not 17 harmless distractions. That's 17 conscious choices to abandon focus. 17 opportunities for momentum to die. And every one of them compounds. Systematic elimination beats dramatic effort. Precision dismantles chaos. If you want control, stop chasing emotional highs and start building a system where failure has nowhere to hide.
Here's the damn truth nobody wants to choke down. It's not the world holding you back. It's the crap story you keep replaying in your head. I'm not smart enough. I don't have connections. I started too late. Shut up. Those aren't facts, they're excuses. And every time you repeat them, you chain yourself tighter to mediocrity. I used to think asking for help meant I was weak. That admitting I didn't know something made me less. You know what that really was? My ego, dressed up like pride, dragging me down. The most dangerous enemy isn't out there, it's in your skull. That cowardly voice convincing you not to try. And the only way you kill it is by moving anyway, by acting while it screams, by proving it wrong, one explosion at a time.
The strongest people, they're not the ones who avoided obstacles. They're the ones who got sick of their own excuses faster than the rest of the world. You want to know what I cut out? The need to explain myself to people who'll never get it. The need for approval from people who couldn't even see what I was aiming for. When you're really chasing something exceptional, you realize most advice is just chains dressed up as wisdom. People want you safe, comfortable, average. Their limits become suggestions for your limits. So here's the truth. Stop listening. Stop explaining. Stop asking permission from people who couldn't handle your path, even if you handed them a map. You're not here to be reasonable. You're not here to be practical. You're here to do what normal minds call impossible, while smiling the whole time.
Here's the truth. Warriors don't waste energy on theatrics. We don't need to scream about eliminating distractions. We cut them out and move on. Efficient, relentless. Every time I train, I ask myself one question. Does this make me stronger, or does it make me soft? If it makes me comfortable without building power, it dies right there. Your phone buzzing during work? Shut it off. Pointless conversations that leave you drained? Walk away. Tasks that look productive, but don't push you closer to your goal. Trash them. But don't misunderstand. This isn't about stripping everything away. It's about replacing weakness with power. You cut out scrolling. You add study. You cut out leeches. You build with allies who sharpen you. That's how warriors rise. Not through excuses. Not through comfort. Through brutal, systematic optimization.
The biggest distraction I had to eliminate wasn't my phone or social media. It was my own mind. I used to drown in endless calculations, analyzing every angle, every possible mistake. By the time I made a decision, someone else had already taken the shot I was still imagining. Perfectionism feels like preparation, but it's really just fear in disguise. You're not planning, you're stalling. A real striker doesn't wait for perfect conditions. They act, and they adapt mid-play. So I built myself a rule. Analyze fast, then move. 10 minutes of research, then decide. 80% certainty is enough, because the last 20% is earned through action. That's how you eliminate hesitation. That's how you create chances instead of watching them slip away.
You think you're being productive because you're busy. Rearranging your desk, buying another notebook, reading another book about success. It's not progress. It's a sedative. You're addicted to the feeling of preparation because it's safer than execution. You plan because plans don't fail. Actions do. That's why you avoid them. You convince yourself you're working, but you're just hiding. Hiding behind systems, behind routines, behind research. You're not moving forward. You're running in place. And you don't even realize it. Here's the truth. If it doesn't push you closer to the result, it's worthless. And the longer you dress up your fear as planning, the further you drift from the life you claim you want. Stop pretending. Do the work. Or admit you never wanted it.
Everyone thinks I became strong through some secret technique, some hidden power, some dramatic breakthrough moment. They're wrong. Dead wrong. I became the strongest through the most boring thing imaginable. Doing the same simple routine every single day for 3 years straight. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 10-kilometer run. Every day, no exceptions. People laugh when I tell them this. They say it's too simple, too basic, that there must be more to it. But that's exactly why they'll never reach their potential. They're looking for shortcuts to mastery instead of committing to the process. Your greatest enemy isn't lack of talent or resources. It's your own impatience with the improvement process.
Perfection isn't about having flawless technique from the start. It's about identifying every single weakness in your form and systematically destroying each one through targeted practice. When I train, I'm not just going through the motions. I'm analyzing every movement, every muscle contraction, every inefficiency in my technique. Each training session is an investigation into how I can become even 1% better than yesterday. Most people practice their strengths because it feels good to do what you're already good at. But real improvement comes from obsessing over your weaknesses until they become strengths too. I spend hours perfecting movements that others would consider good enough. Because good enough is the enemy of excellence, and excellence is the enemy of mastery.
True mastery is developed in absolute privacy. While others showcase their incomplete skills seeking validation, I perfect my techniques in complete isolation, where there's no pressure to perform, no audience to impress, no timeline to meet, except my own. The most powerful abilities are refined through thousands of repetitions that nobody witnesses. Each movement practiced until it becomes instinctive. Each strategy tested until it becomes flawless. Each weakness addressed until it becomes strength. Most people practice until they get it right once. Masters practice until they can't get it wrong. There's a fundamental difference between demonstrating competence and achieving true mastery. In the shadows, perfection isn't about meeting other standards. It's about exceeding your own.
Listen. Most people give up on improvement the moment it stops feeling easy. They want progress without frustration, mastery without struggle, perfection without the pain of constantly confronting their limitations. But here's what I learned. Every time you feel like you've hit a wall, every time your technique feels stuck, every time improvement seems impossible, that's exactly when real growth begins. Those moments of struggle aren't obstacles to perfection. They are the path to perfection. You think my shadow techniques developed overnight? Hell no. I spent months failing at basic manipulations, getting frustrated with my lack of control, wanting to quit every time my shadows wouldn't respond the way I needed them to. But persistence through frustration is what separates those who achieve mastery from those who settle for good enough.
You know what separates champions from everyone else? Champions fall in love with the process of getting better, not just the idea of being better. When I first stepped onto that field at Blue Lock, I was average at everything, but I discovered something that changed my entire trajectory. I became obsessed with analyzing my own performance. Every mistake became data. Every failure became information about what to improve next. While others were focused on looking good, I was focused on getting good. While they avoided situations where they might fail, I actively sought them out because failure was showing me exactly where my limits were. You can't improve what you don't measure. You can't perfect what you don't practice. And you can't master what you're not willing to fail at repeatedly.
Here's what nobody wants to hear about perfection. It's boring. Really boring. It's doing the same thing over and over again. when you'd rather be doing literally anything else. Day 500 of the same routine? Boring. Day 800? Still boring. Day 1000? You guessed it. Boring as hell. But you know what's not boring? Being so good at something that you make the impossible look effortless. Most people quit pursuing perfection because they mistake boredom for lack of progress. They think if it's not exciting, if it's not constantly challenging, if it's not giving them new feelings every day, then it must not be working. But perfection is found in the repetition they're running from, in the consistency they find unbearable, in the dedication that feels monotonous.
You want to know the difference between someone who trains and someone who masters. The person who trains stops when they get tired. The master stops when they get it right. Every single movement in my arsenal has been refined through thousands of repetitions. Not because I enjoyed doing the same thing over and over, but because I understood that perfect execution under pressure only comes from perfect practice in preparation. Most people practice until they can do something correctly once. Then they move on, thinking they've mastered it. But real mastery means you can execute flawlessly when you're exhausted, when you're stressed, when everything is on the line. That level of reliability only comes from honing each technique until it's programmed into your muscle memory so deeply that your body can perform it without your mind's interference.
Most people's idea of improvement is adding more techniques, learning more skills, accumulating more knowledge. But true mastery often means doing less, not more. Refining what you have until each element is absolutely perfect. I've spent years perfecting a handful of core abilities rather than collecting dozens of mediocre ones. While others chase the newest methods, I'm honing my fundamentals to levels they can't comprehend. There's profound power in taking something simple and executing it with such precision that it becomes unstoppable. One perfectly mastered technique is worth more than 100 half-learned skills. The world is full of people who know a little about everything and a lot about nothing. But mastery comes from choosing your focus and diving so deep that you discover possibilities others never imagined.
Here's what I realized about continuous improvement. It's not about dramatic transformations or breakthrough moments. It's about making tiny adjustments every single day that compound into something extraordinary over time. Every training session, I'm not trying to revolutionize my technique. I'm trying to improve it by just 1%. Better shadow control, faster reaction time, more precise manipulation. These small improvements seem insignificant in the moment, but they accumulate into massive advantages over months and years. Most people get frustrated because they want to see major progress immediately. They train for a week and expect to see dramatic results. But real improvement is often invisible day to day, and only becomes obvious when you look back over extended periods. Trust the process of small, consistent improvements. They're building something powerful, even when you can't see it yet.
The hunger for improvement has to come from within. You can't rely on coaches, teammates, or external motivation to push you toward perfection. At some point, it becomes a personal obsession with being better today than you were yesterday. I developed this internal drive where every missed shot, every poor decision, every moment where I could have performed better became fuel for my next training session. Not because I was beating myself up, but because I genuinely got excited about having specific things to work on. Most people see mistakes as failures. I learned to see them as roadmaps, showing me exactly where to focus my improvement efforts. Each error was pointing me toward my next breakthrough. When improvement becomes internally motivated rather than externally driven, you become unstoppable, because your commitment doesn't depend on anyone else's standards or expectations.
The thing about perfection is that it's not a destination you reach, it's a standard you maintain. Every single day, you either move closer to your potential or further away from it. There's no neutral ground. Even after achieving what others call peak strength, I still do my routine. Not because I need to anymore, but because the discipline that got me here is the same discipline that keeps me here. Most people think once you reach a certain level, you can coast. That's exactly when you start declining. Perfection requires the same dedication to maintain as it did to achieve. The moment you think you've made it and can relax your standards is the moment you begin losing everything you worked to build. Excellence is a daily commitment, not a one-time achievement.
Real improvement happens when you stop comparing yourself to others and start competing with the version of yourself from yesterday. Every training session becomes about surpassing your previous limits, not proving you're better than someone else. When I analyze my performance, I'm not looking at what my opponents can do. I'm examining what I couldn't do yesterday that I can do today. What technique was sloppy that's now clean? What weakness existed that's now been addressed? This internal competition creates sustainable motivation because your progress isn't dependent on external factors. You're not waiting for others to get weaker. You're actively becoming stronger. The most dangerous fighters aren't those comparing themselves to their competition. They're the ones who've made improvement a personal obsession that has nothing to do with anyone else's standards.
The pursuit of perfection requires strategic patience. Most people want immediate results from their efforts, but true mastery unfolds over years, not weeks or months. I've spent countless hours refining techniques that others would consider already good enough. But good enough is the enemy of excellence. And excellence is what separates the truly powerful from the merely competent. Each day of dedicated practice might only yield microscopic improvements, but these small gains compound exponentially over time. What seems like an imperceptible advancement today becomes an insurmountable advantage tomorrow. The ability to delay gratification, to work for long-term mastery rather than short-term satisfaction, is what distinguishes those who achieve their potential from those who settle for mediocrity.
Perfection isn't about eliminating all mistakes. It's about reducing them systematically until they become rare exceptions rather than common occurrences. When I first started developing my shadow techniques, I failed constantly. My shadows wouldn't respond properly. My timing was off. My precision was terrible. But instead of getting frustrated and giving up, I started cataloging my errors. What specific conditions led to poor shadow control? What mental state affected my timing? What physical factors influenced my precision? By treating mistakes as data rather than failures, I could address each issue systematically. This analytical approach to improvement transforms frustration into curiosity. Instead of being disappointed by imperfect performance, you become fascinated by the puzzle of how to optimize it further.
Here's the truth about dedication to continuous improvement. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Perfect days don't create perfect results. Consistent days do. There were days during my training when I felt terrible, when my form was off, when everything felt harder than it should have been. But I showed up anyway. Not because I felt motivated, but because the commitment was bigger than my feelings. The strength you build by training on the days you don't want to train is different from the strength you build on good days. It's the strength of character that makes everything else possible. Most people only work on themselves when they feel inspired. But inspiration is unreliable. Dedication works regardless of how you feel. And that's what makes it unstoppable.
You should be a monster. I'm serious. You should be ruthlessly ambitious, dangerously skilled, absolutely relentless, and then learn how to control it. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. You know what I mean? I built myself into something dangerous. Not because I was born special, not because I had advantages, but because I decided I'm going to be so good at what I do that nobody can ignore me. Nobody can stop me. See, people are scared of being too much, too intense, too focused, too ambitious. But you know what? The world doesn't reward the timid. It rewards the monsters who learn discipline. So yeah, become a monster. Build yourself into something powerful, something dangerous, something unstoppable. Then master it, control it, direct it. Because a controlled monster, that's what dominance looks like.
Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. No one's coming to save you. No miracle is going to make you special. No knight in shining armor is going to rescue you from your situation. It's just you. And once you accept that, once you truly understand that mentality, everything changes. I was the weakest, the absolute lowest you could be. And I knew that if I didn't save myself, I was done. So I did. I clawed my way out. I suffered alone. I fought battles nobody saw. And every single step, I had to take it myself. So stop waiting. Stop hoping someone's going to come help you. Stop expecting the world to give you what you want. Because life isn't fair. Not at all. So what are you going to do about it? You going to cry? Or are you going to become the person who doesn't need saving? Can't hurt me. That's the mentality you need. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care how bad your situation is right now. Nothing should be able to hurt you if you believe that. And I'm not talking about physical pain. I'm talking about the mental stuff. The doubt, the fear, the voices telling you you're not good enough. Can't hurt me. When I was at my lowest, when I had every reason to give up, when I was literally a slave with nothing, I looked around and said, "This can't hurt me."
And you know what? It didn't. Because I didn't let it. See, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. When you adopt that mindset, when you truly believe nothing can break you, it starts to become true. So whatever you're facing right now, whatever winter you're in, look it in the eye and say it. Can't hurt me.
You're a man. You're a woman. You're a human being with a choice. Stand up. Make the hard decisions. Make the sacrifices. Make the unpopular decisions and become comfortable in your own skin. You know what most people's problem is? They're not comfortable being alone with themselves. Think about that. If you're not a person that you're comfortable being alone with, that's the one person you have full power to change. Not your parents, not your circumstances, not your past. You. So stop running from yourself. Stop avoiding the mirror. Stop pretending you're okay with who you are when you're not. Because if you can't stand being alone with yourself, how are you going to build anything real? Get comfortable with you first. Then build from there.
This ain't you, bro. This lazy version, this comfortable version, this person who's just going through the motions. That's not you. You weren't born like this. You know exactly what to do. Even when I started, I knew exactly what needed to be done. The problem? It sucks doing it. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. It requires you to suffer when everyone else is relaxing. But here's the thing. You already know what you need to do. Stop eating garbage. Start training. Wake up early. Study. Practice. Work. You know this. The question isn't what to do. The question is, are you going to do it? Because knowing and doing are completely different. And only one of them gets results. So stop acting like you don't know. You know. Now get to work.
You want to know the real secret? I never turn it off. People ask me, how do you stay so focused? How do you stay so driven? Because I can't afford to turn it off. See, the moment you relax, the moment you get comfortable, the moment you think you've made it, that's when you start sliding backward. I'm not fighting other people. I'm fighting myself. The version of me that wants to quit. The version that wants to take it easy. The version that says you've done enough. And that fight, it never ends. It's every single day. It's a choice. And yeah, that choice makes you misunderstood. It makes people call you crazy. But you know what? I'd rather be crazy and successful than normal and average. So no, I don't turn it off. Not for a day. Not for an hour. Because the moment I do, I know exactly who I'll become. And I refuse to go back.
It's time to stay focused. And I mean really focused. Forget clubs. Forget partying. Forget trying to fit in and socialize and rub elbows with everybody, so people stop calling you weird. You know why you're antisocial? Because you're trying to get it. Why are you always training? Because you're trying to get it. Why are you studying when everyone else is having fun? Because you're trying to get it. Let me tell you something. These distractions, they ain't going nowhere. The parties will still be there. The people will still be there. But this time, this season, this window where you can build yourself, that's limited. So yeah, be weird. Be antisocial. Be the person everyone doesn't understand. Because the more weird you are is a reflection of how committed you are to your craft. And when it's your time, when you finally make your move, you're going to fly.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal, the most vicious, the most ruthless at what I do. And no, that's not arrogance. That's fact. Because I made it fact. See, you can say you're the best, but if you can't back it up, you're just talking. I dedicated everything to being undeniable. My style? Impetuous. My defense? Impregnable. My execution? Ferocious. I don't care who I'm up against. I don't care what advantages they have. When I step up, I'm taking everything. I want your heart. I want your will. I want you to know that you never had a chance. And I earned that confidence through thousands of hours, through countless battles, through refusing to accept anything less than complete dominance. So yeah, I'm the best ever. And you can be too. But you have to believe it first, then prove it.
There's a moment when you realize no one's coming to save you. And that's the moment you grow up. That's the moment you become dangerous. Some people never get there. They stay children forever, waiting for someone else to fix their problems, to give them opportunities, to make them special. But you can't afford that luxury. I wasn't the most talented. I wasn't the most gifted. But I realized early, if I don't save myself, if I don't create my own opportunities, if I don't make myself special, nobody else will. And that realization, it's terrifying. But it's also liberating. Because once you know it's all on you, you stop making excuses. You stop waiting. You start moving. So if you're waiting for someone to believe in you, stop. Believe in yourself. Save yourself. Make yourself.
People only root for people who don't need it. Let me explain. When you're on your way up, when you're struggling, when you're too different from your old friends, but not successful enough for your new circle, that's when you need support. And nobody's there. But once you've won, once you've made it, everyone wants to celebrate you. Everyone's proud. Everyone knew you'd make it. And that's the harsh truth about this journey. It's lonely. When I was building in the shadows, when I was working and nobody saw, when I needed people to believe in me, silence. But now everyone wants to be associated with what I built. So understand this. That lonely phase is necessary. It's proof you're on the path. Because if everyone understood what you're doing, you're probably not doing anything special. Stay lonely. Build anyway.
My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. I'm ferocious. And I built that through obsession. Not casual interest. Not hobby-level commitment. Obsession. I study every detail. I refine every movement. I perfect every technique. Because being good isn't enough. Being great isn't enough. I want to be undeniable. I want people to see me and know. There's no way to beat that. And that level of mastery doesn't come from balanced living. It doesn't come from moderation. It comes from complete immersion, from living and breathing your craft, from making it your entire identity. So yeah, my style is impetuous because I attack everything with ferocity. My defense is impregnable because I've covered every weakness. And I'm ferocious because I refuse to be anything less than the absolute best.
Some people never grow up. They stay children forever, always waiting, always making excuses, always hoping someone else will do it for them. But there comes a moment when you have to decide, am I going to be a child, or am I going to be a man? Am I going to wait, or am I going to act? Am I going to hope, or am I going to build? I made that choice when I was at rock bottom, when I had nothing, when I was the weakest. And I decided, no more waiting, no more hoping, no more praying for a miracle. I'm going to become the miracle. I'm going to be the person who saves myself. And every day since then, I've had to make that choice again. Be a child or be a man. Wait or act. Hope or build. And every day I choose to act. I choose to build. What do you choose?
Be ruthlessly ambitious. Not kind of ambitious. Not I'd like to succeed ambitious. Ruthlessly ambitious. The kind of ambition that makes people uncomfortable. The kind that makes you obsessed. The kind that keeps you up at night and wakes you up early. See, everyone wants success, but not everyone wants it bad enough to become ruthless. To cut out distractions, to say no to comfort, to sacrifice now for later. I knew what I wanted. Best striker in the world. Not just good, not just talented, the absolute best. And I was willing to devour anyone in my path to get it. That's not evil. That's ambition. That's hunger. That's what it takes. So ask yourself, how ambitious are you really? Because if you're not willing to be ruthless, someone else will be. And they'll take what could have been yours.